Hello and welcome to Too Many Movies, the podcast where we discuss DVDs, Blu-rays, and even the occasional VHS tape. I'm your host, Hal, and today I got a very special guest. James, introduce yourself to the three people in the audience who don't know who you are.
Whoa, hey everyone, it's me, James from Schaffrillas Productions. So, I have a YouTube channel, HAL edits for me, so that's probably where most of you know me from. And yeah, I make videos on movies and TV shows, games, all that good stuff.
All that good stuff. Hey, speaking of movies, let's talk about one. Baby Driver, to be specific.
All right.
So, what was your first, introduction to Baby Driver? Like, did you watch it when it first came out in theaters?
Yeah, I did. I forget if it was my first Edgar Wright film or not, but I think I might have seen, the other ones beforehand. And then I heard he was coming out with a new movie. I, saw the cast look pretty neat. The poster was really impressive. And I was like, oh, yeah, that seems like a really cool movie to check out. So I saw it in theaters, and it absolutely fucking blew me away. It was just, I just loved the movie so much. When I first saw it, I saw it with a couple. I took some of my other friends to see it in theaters a second time, and it was just so great. I was riding the high of that movie throughout the whole summer of 2017.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I never experienced it in theaters, just because back in those days, I was very limited by what movies I could go to, but just because for whatever reason, I just didn't have the time or whatever. But I did check it out eventually. I think I saw the Cornetto trilogy before I watched this. So I was already kind of familiar with Edgar Wright's stuff before I had seen it. And even with seeing the Cornetto trilogy, and I think I saw Scott Pilgrim before I saw this, I still really loved it. When I first watched it, I was like, holy shit, this editing can be like this.
Yeah.
Holy crap. And I feel like I go through cycles with this movie where I watch it, I love it, and then I don't watch it for a little while, and I'm like, oh, was it really all that great? And then I watch it again, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, it was that great. And then it's like a cycle that keeps repeating. And
Yeah.
I definitely am starting to feel like my thoughts on it are definitely getting a little more cemented now with each watch through. I love it. I think it's an amazing film, but it's not my favorite Wright film. So I definitely feel but with that said, I still think it's fantastic. I mentioned the editing. Let's talk about the editing. Holy crap. You know. It's amazing.
It really is, yeah. It's honestly, I think this was the movie that really woke me up to how incredible film editing can be. It's I always,
Same.
Yeah, I always loved editing because I just have an editing background as a hobby. And so it's just the cuts in this movie are so tight and so well synced to the music. It all flows together incredibly. It's the editing, I think, is the star of the show, honestly. That and the direction.
Yeah.
They're just so stylish and incredible. They make the story flow really well. Just the action sequences are incredible because of the way they cut between different shots and the way the sound is edited and incorporated into it. It's just, oh my god, so incredible.
Yeah, it takes the extra mile. Like you said, it's a movie that really taught you the importance of editing. The same thing. This taught me the importance of editing. I consider a lot of movies from around that time kind of really waking me up to the importance of any aspect of filmmaking. Blade Runner 2049 taught me the importance of cinematography. But this especially editing. And watching it again this time, it's not even just the editing, just the way that things are shot is amazing. There's the car chase at the beginning is edited phenomenally, but also the actual stunt driving of the car is also immaculate. So it's both aspects to it. It's not just how you shoot the scene. It's what goes on in order for the editing to take over. And then you get the scene, the opening credits when Baby's walking around the streets getting coffee for the other robbers. You have to plan that out.
Yeah.
like weeks and weeks of planning out, because you have to like make sure the camera moves over like a tree at a certain point that has the words like yeah on it,
it's just like
so
incredible.
then it matches the song. Yeah.
Just seeing like how the lyrics are on like different like billboards or something, or like graffiti, just like, and then just timing that all, like it's just like a marvel, like that right there, like, because we obviously talk about how great the editing is, but also that's just one continuous shot that's just like, it really just, Edgar Wright is just flexing as a filmmaker in both like the opening action scene and then this long take where it's like everything is so perfectly synced to the music, and then there's just the background like supports it. Like it's just such an incredible like filmmaking achievement.
Yeah, and I like that this definitely feels like a movie he would make later in his career after like experimenting with these kinds of edits in his other movies, because I feel like he's done edits like that in his other movies, like Shaun of the Dead. There's that scene when like they're hitting that zombie with the pool sticks to the beat of Don't Stop Me Now by Queen.
Yeah.
So obviously he's been toying with this for years, and I feel like this was kind of the culmination of that kind of editing, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, like the editing something along to music, like syncing it to the music and making sure every like impactful part of the song has like an impactful equivalent within like the actual scene. It's just like it's really impressive. And like going back to that scene in Shaun of the Dead, it's like it's a great scene, obviously, but it's still pretty like basic. And I think what you said about this being something that would definitely fit in his like later years as a director, like that's absolutely true, because you can see like a evolution of what he can accomplish in like syncing scenes to music, from like just comparing that Shaun of the Dead scene to some of the insane shit in this movie. It's like just really amazing.
Yeah, and I feel like we could like talk for hours on the editing, but I feel like another important aspect is, how's the movie itself? Because a movie can be edited really well, but like how's the actual story and stuff like that. Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons why every time I kind of go a long time without watching this movie, I kind of forget about those aspects, because I'm always so impressed with the editing. Like, I mean, because that's the star of the show, is the editing, that you kind of forget like the story and characters, and it's just like, oh, were those ever that important? And it's like, I can't, like I said, I can't say it's my favorite in any Wright film, but I think it does its job well. Like, I like the character of Baby enough. I like the other characters enough. Yeah. I can't say it's the greatest character study ever. I personally, while I guess I like this presentation more, I think I consider somebody like Ryan Gosling's character in Drive a little more interesting, just because that's what that movie is about, whereas this movie's more about the presentation and the editing and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I guess you could take that and then argue that the movie's kind of like style over substance, but like, I think while the style does probably outweigh the substance, like, it's still like a really smart like screenplay. Like, there's so many recurring lines that like keep coming back over the course of the film, and then they're capitalized in really funny ways, like the fucking Monsters Inc. joke. Like, you just see that on a TV, just you and I are a team, and then he says that to Doc later on, and then he tries to pull the same line at the end of the movie. He's like, don't feed me any more lines from Monsters Inc. It's like, that's so funny. It's like just building on that.
It's funny, it's clever, it's stuff like that I see all the time in other movies that they just don't do very well. Like, I feel like there are lots of movies that will just incorporate lines and scenes from other movies, and they're just like winking towards the camera like, oh, look, this is another movie you're familiar with. It's like, yeah, I know. But like here, it's actually done well.
Yeah, it's like the joke is not just the fact that you made a reference. The joke is that he's like pissed off that he's trying to like feed him this line that he knows is a reference to something. Because
he knows like what he's saying is bullshit, because he doesn't trust him. Yeah, it's beautiful, and because Baby doesn't trust Kevin Spacey's character, because he just is done with his bullshit. So of course he's going to feed lines from something he saw on the TV.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, and
it's awesome.
I like how it's not just jokes. There's also like character motivations that are like foreshadowed in very subtle ways. Like, at the diner scene where they're like, you know, the conflict is with like Bats mainly. Like Bats seems like the dangerous one who's gonna cause trouble later on, and then you just kind of like don't worry too much about Buddy. But then like Darlene's giving that speech to Bats about how like when like something bad, when he sees red, like he is just filled with fury, and like you can see Buddy's actually like. It shows a shot of Buddy, and then it cuts to a shot of Baby, and it's like foreshadowing that Buddy's gonna have this like conflict with Baby later on. But like it's so subtle that you wouldn't even pick up on it the first time because they've been so chummy like the whole movie that like you wouldn't even think that's where it's gonna go.
I did notice that this time around. That was awesome. I was just like, oh, and of course at the beginning when he's flipping through the channels and it ends on like the Matador and the bull being like, oh, the bull does not stand down when he sees the red or something like that. It was like foreshadowing to like the end when he's in the cop car and he's drenched in the red light.
Yeah, and then Baby's in the blue light. It's just, oh my God, it's so smartly like
it's like something out of Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, honestly. Like there's so much symbolism there and it's so subtle. It's not like in your face. It's just so brilliantly done. And I love just the subversion of you thinking like Bats is going to be like the final boss he's going to have to fight, but then it turns out to be Buddy because he wants revenge. It's just, oh my God. It's so clever how that's done.
Yeah, I love that too. The music, very good.
Oh yeah.
It's incorporated very well. I've actually been listening to like a bunch of the songs since watching it, like the past couple of days. Ever since I rewatched this, I've been listening to a bunch of the songs. Like I've listened to Brighton Rock by Queen. I'm like, wow, this is really, really good.
Yeah. That one, Never Gonna Give You Up. I listened to a lot after I watched the movie. I love the intermission song, like the one that's playing when they're doing the final heist right before he kills Bats. Like it just keeps ramping up, like shit's gonna happen, and then it finally does. It's like it was such a good fit for the scene. Like I love how Edgar Wright doesn't go for like a ton of extremely popular songs. He goes for ones that actually like fit the mood of each scene really well, and it's like a way of getting you interested in like new music that you've never heard before. So I love that.
That's something that I've noticed with like a lot of like kind of not jukebox musicals, but like movies that kind of incorporate a lot of popular songs. They'll just like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and I like those movies, and I do like the songs that they feature, but it definitely does feel like they're just kind of using these songs just because they're popular and people know them. Like there was that time like when Guardians 2 came out, and it was Mr. Brightside was like the new meme at that time. And also, I was watching this because, like, I feel like every scene there's a different song playing, and I remember when I watched Cruella, how like it did that, where like it just put every sort of 70s rock song in every 5 seconds of the movie, and I was annoyed by that, even though I'm like a huge fan of 70s rock, but I'm like, this is so distracting. Like, why are you doing this every 5 seconds? Whereas here, I'm not as annoyed because, well, one, Baby's always listening to music. He always has his headphones in. Like that's kind of his character, is always listening to the music. So of course music is going to constantly be playing, but it's not just constantly playing for the sake of a scene. Like it's constantly playing, and then it's incorporated really well. Like he takes out an earbud, like you only hear like the left side of the song coming out of like the speakers. Like I love attention to detail like that. Like it's incorporated cleverly.
Yeah, the sound editing is really impressive, and I just love the whole idea of him like using music to like drown out tinnitus. It's like pretty clever, and then like the connection with his mom and how there's like songs that he has an emotional attachment to because his mom used to sing them. Like it's really well done, like the songs that they pick and the way they actually incorporate some of them into the story. Yeah,
exactly. Trying to think, like, is there anything that I don't know you don't like about the movie? I guess like if we were going to talk about like criticisms.
Yeah. See, you mentioned that like each time you haven't seen the movie in a while, you like start to wonder if it was that good, and then you rewatch it to reaffirm. Like, I mean, I'm the same way over the past 5 years or so. Like I've rewatched it again and again, and then like I'm like, oh wow, this is amazing. But I don't know. I feel like I was kind of giving some parts a pass when I shouldn't have, because I was just like, That first viewing was so like fresh in my mind for even like years after, just being so intoxicated by like the editing and the style of it all and all the clever parts of the script. But there's just some things that just don't add up. Like Deborah's entire motivation in this is just, it doesn't really make sense to me. That she's just, because she's kind of like a bit underwritten, where we don't really know why she'd be willing to like throw everything away and join with this criminal and like follow him anywhere. Like I know they're in love, but like it's just a little weird because we don't know like why she is okay with all this, like baby like shooting people and just being on the run forever. Like what's her like life like, that this is a step up from that? Like I don't know,
it does seem like, for the story's sake, like how they're just like, oh, we gotta have her follow along because then she could be put in danger, or like, oh, this is how the story's going, like she needs to be there for baby. And it's just like, okay, but yeah, why is she following this crazy guy? Like why does she find it charming when she's like, hey, you're gonna be my last customer, I'm gonna go run some errands, and he's like, can I come? And she's like, sure. It's like it's okay. It's like,
it's I don't know. It's weird. Yeah, I don't really know. She's a little underdeveloped and underwritten, but I don't know. The performance is good though.
Oh yeah, like I remember when I watched this movie for the first time, like Lily James, I was only familiar with her work as Cinderella, and she was so boring in that movie.
Yep. Like now she gets to be in a real movie. Wow.
I know, and then I watched her in a real movie. I'm like, oh, you're acting like you. I actually buy you as a Southern lady. Like, wow, cool.
Wow,
you're giving a performance.
Amazing.
That's cool.
Wow, something you don't get from live action Disney remakes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. So that's something. The other thing that I noticed on this that like dragged it down a bit for me is that like the stretch between the second and the third heist is really long, which initially I was like okay with because I still like the character stuff going on there, and like just the dynamics of the criminals playing off of each other is good. But at the same time, I just feel like they could have cut like a solid 10 to 15 minutes out of it and not missed anything. And specifically when baby records the conversation where it's like, do we do this thing or not? It's like, why would he do that and like get in trouble like that? I don't know. I still can't wrap my head around that. And then I realized like the whole thing after that too, it's like you really don't need that necessarily, like because they ultimately just decide they're still doing the heist anyway. So it doesn't really like change anything. Like I feel like you could have tightened the script there, and like because this only really happens because baby does something really stupid, and then it doesn't actually like amount to anything really. So I don't know.
Yeah, what was the point of the tape recording? Like I get that he used it to then make songs, but then it's like, okay, what did that actually amount to?
Yeah,
you know, it was just like.
I'm fine with it as just like a quirky like thing he likes to do. Like that's fine. It adds to the character. But then like when it becomes a source of conflict, and then the conflict is just kind of resolved with the status quo like being the exact same afterwards, it just didn't really feel like it had a point.
Yeah, it felt like a weird detour that just made the movie longer.
Yeah, like it really didn't need that. It could have been a little bit tighter at that part.
Yeah, because then the heist does end up going wrong, but not because of the tapes. Like it goes wrong because then it actually goes wrong because baby sees the teller in the back like heading to the post office, and he's like, don't go in there. So but like that was introduced in a different scene, so like I just don't it's the tapes thing. It's like I don't know, just I guess they just wanted to have a point to him, but then it's like I don't know, you could have not had a point to him. Whatever. I mean, I'm glad that the heist goes wrong because then it leads to that awesome chase scene.
Yeah,
so.
The chase scene. Honestly, like as great as the opening scene is, I think the chase scene is actually my like favorite action scene in the movie. It's just like I love the song that's playing and everything's synced up so well. In particular, that one part where he goes into like the mall and he goes into that one store that has like music playing, and then they mix the two songs together. Like that's just so cool.
Yeah, I had like the biggest smile on my face when I was watching this. I'm like, oh my god, I'm enjoying a movie. Like this was awesome.
Movies are awesome. Who knew?
Yeah, exactly. Who knew?
Yeah. But yeah, I figured this time, like, cause I've listed Baby Driver as like one of my favorite films on Letterboxd for a while, and like at 5 stars, and it's like I don't know, after some time, like it didn't feel justified putting it up there as not only one of my favorite films, but like as better than the other Edgar Wright films, because like Hot Fuzz and Scott Pilgrim I both gave a 9 to, and like I don't know, I feel like those are stronger overall, because Baby Driver has these script flaws, even though like from a technical standpoint, I think this is Edgar Wright's best work as a director and like in terms of the editing. But yeah, I think the script drags it down a little bit. I'd say maybe Scott Pilgrim is my new favorite Edgar Wright film, and then I don't know if this is and I don't know if this is second or third to Hot Fuzz, but I don't know. Maybe I'll leave it at second. I don't know. It's a weird opinion I have of like liking Scott Pilgrim and Baby Driver better than the Cornetto trilogy. I know most people don't, but yeah.
No, but I see that. I definitely see that. I definitely do think Hot Fuzz is his best, and I mean, I think that's a pretty standard take, but I can't help it. I love Hot Fuzz with all my heart.
Yeah, it is incredible.
It's one of the greatest action films I've ever seen. And I always kind of wondered, because I always thought maybe Baby Driver could have been my favorite. But, like, yeah, like you said, there are script flaws. It's just... But, like, even with that, I still consider, like, 5 stars. Like, I still love it so much. But I definitely do think Hot Fuzz is my actual favorite from Edgar Wright, just because there's just so much more to love about that film.
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah, Baby Driver, very, very good. I agree, it is definitely one of his best technical films, but I mean, still, like, that's still pretty high praise. As much as I can say, like, oh well, it's not as good, like, it's still pretty damn good.
No, I still think this is an incredible film. I don't know, I just can't really justify giving it 5 stars because of the script flaws, but like I think it really like left a big impact on me when I first watched it. It got me really interested in like analyzing film editing and how like good it can be or how terrible it can be. So like I think it's my like, it's weird to say nostalgic connection to it because it only came out like 5 years ago, but yeah, I just have like this connection to it. I really enjoy it for that reason.
Of course.
Plus it's just a technically great film. Like I don't know, it surprises me that like a ton of people don't like this one that much. Like I don't know. Like, I get not liking the story, but, like, how can you not appreciate just its technical aspects? Like, it's just insanely impressive, and, like, it puts most other, like, blockbusters to shame.
I know. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. I don't know. Is there anything else you wanted to say about it?
I think that's about it. I really love it, and, yeah, I have a nostalgic connection to it, so, yeah.
Yeah. So, before we move on to the next film, I usually like to say at the end of every film we talk about, whether it's a movie I don't own or if it's a movie I do own, like, will it stay or will it add to my collection? So I actually do have Baby Driver here on Blu-ray, and I am definitely keeping it. It is a definite movie that I want to have in my collection. Whether it's this actual Blu-ray, whether I get it on like a 4K, whether I get it on a Steelbook, I don't think it really matters. It's just something that's always going to be in my collection. Do you collect physical releases of anything besides Epic?
Yeah, my copy of Epic 2013 is my prized possession, so I'll never give that up.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't really been collecting a ton of physical media. I really should, though, after all the bullshit that's been going on with HBO Max and just Warner Brothers. Like, I don't know, maybe I should get on that. I do like the convenience of having everything digitally, but clearly that's not feasible forever. So I collect a few things. Like, I collect all the Ghibli steelbooks, except Earwig and the Witch I refuse to buy. Like,
no, yeah.
Every time I see it in the store, I'm just like, fuck, no.
Why would you? Like, what's the point of owning that?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. But I have the rest of those. That's just one of the, like, only a few types of things I collect. So, yeah, I do have Baby Driver, though, because obviously that was, like, I consider that one of my favorite films for a while, and it's still up there for me, but, yeah. So I have that physically. I think just on DVD and Blu-ray.
Nice. Okay, well, I think we should move on then. That was a fantastic discussion of Baby Driver.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of fantastic, let's talk about the other movie you wanted to talk about, Fantastic Mr. Fox, from a different auteur that isn't Edgar Wright, but Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
So what's your history with Fantastic Mr. Fox? Did you like watch it as a kid, or like when did you first watch it?
I didn't watch it as a kid. I don't remember when I first watched it. It wasn't my first Wes Anderson movie though, because I think my first was Grand Budapest Hotel and then Moonrise Kingdom. And then I just kind of figured, like, I was kind of like working my way backwards. I think this was after Isle of Dogs came out even. I'm not a huge fan of that one, but I just kind of figured, well, everyone says Fantastic Mr. Fox is great, so might as well check that out, like work my way backwards in his filmography. And so I like put it on one day, and yeah, it's just fucking fantastic.
Yeah, a bit of a cliche to say, but I mean, it's true. Like, you really can't say anything else. Yeah. I mean, so yeah, same thing. I didn't, well, not same thing, like similar lines. I didn't watch it as a kid. I knew about it, but I never got a chance to watch it. And it wasn't my first either. I'm pretty sure my first Wes Anderson film was Life Aquatic, because I watched it for like a college class or something like that. I can't even really remember. I just remember being at school one day during like between classes, and I just had free time, and I was just like, oh, I'll just watch Life Aquatic on Netflix because I need to for a class. And I really enjoyed it, but I definitely feel like the more films I see from him, the more I appreciate his other stuff. And I think, I don't remember how I came across this DVD that I own of it. I think this was the first thing I ever watched it on. And I don't think I really loved it when I first watched it. Like, I liked it a lot, and I'm like, wow, this is a really great film. But I feel like the more times I watch it, the more I appreciate it. And to the point that it is my favorite Wes Anderson film. It's one of my favorite stop-motion films. It's one of the most fascinating films to me, period. Just because I have it on this really crappy children's DVD, but then it's also in the Criterion collection, and it's on Mubi, which is a streaming service for pretentious film assholes like me. So like, it's just like, it's like a movie that anybody can enjoy, and I feel like anybody can, you know?
Yeah. I was thinking about that, how like weird it is that there's people who only like watch like animated movies, and they like kind of seem to have similar thoughts on them. Like, they just do these little montages of like different animated films they like, and then there's like fucking Ice Age 3 or something next to footage of Fantastic Mr. Fox, and I'm like, why are you like mixing these two movies that couldn't be farther apart in quality? Like, it's crazy. But yeah, I mean, like, it's like general like people who like enjoy animated films, like regardless of their level of quality, like they still really like this one. And then like film auteurs, I guess, like it. Like general public seems to like it. I found it funny that I was like, okay, what streaming service is this on? And then I was like, oh, Disney Plus. Like, that's weird. Like,
that is weird.
It's one of those movies that just feels wrong to be on Disney Plus. Like, this is way too artistic and like has too much of a vision to be on this platform. But yeah.
Like,
I mean,
I
no
can
offense
buy
to other stuff on Disney Plus,
no,
but I mean, like, yeah.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, because there are Disney movies that I love with all my heart, but I understand why they're on Disney Plus. Like Beauty and the Beast, The Lion King, The Incredibles. Yeah, Pixar included. Yeah,
obviously.
Course.
Like, amazing films. But like, this feels so different from Disney's like usual brand that it just like it was like jarring to like see it on this platform, because it it doesn't feel like it's a movie from any like animation studio or like anywhere really. It just feels like a Wes Anderson movie, and that's like
Exactly.
that's just so cool about it.
And that's what I love about it. Like I definitely am not as big into Wes Anderson as I should be, and not because I don't like his stuff. It's just I just haven't had the opportunity to really sit down and kind of watch his stuff with that in mind. Like I've watched through Edgar Wright's films and I appreciate his stuff. I've watched through Tarantino's films and I've appreciated his stuff. I've watched through a bunch of Hitchcock films and I've appreciated, like, with the mindset that I'm watching their films to appreciate them. Whereas Wes Anderson, like, I feel like I need to watch more of his stuff, period, because at the time of recording this, like, I think there's like 3 of his movies I have not seen, and that's Bottle Rocket, Rushmore, and Darjeeling Limited.
Yeah, I haven't seen them either. Wait, you cut out though. What was the first one you said?
Bottle Rocket, which was his like first one.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either. I haven't seen anything like pre-Fantastic Mr. Fox. I've only seen his more recent stuff. But yeah, I know what you mean. Like, it's like his style can be kind of like overwhelming if you just jump into like one of his later movies, and it's just so like quirky and like picture perfect, like the way everything is framed and shot. Like it's obviously visually incredible, but it's also just like a little jarring compared to like regular movies. But I think you get a better perspective for it when you like watch his earlier stuff and see like how his style evolved, because he didn't like fully start out like right out the gate with being all Wes Anderson-y, because like he had to first like build up a reputation.
Having everything like all symmetrical and stuff like that.
Yeah, like I've from what I've heard, his older films have more like imperfections in them, and they're not like perfectly framed and everything, or like so it's like it's probably interesting to like see that growth over time, instead of just jumping into one of the new ones where it's just like so pristine and like perfectly shot and everything.
But I kind of like that about his movies. Like, I like when a movie likes to separate itself from other movies. So like I know that's a bit of a criticism for him, where people are just like, oh, he makes the same style of movies. It's like, yeah, but I kind of like that style. I like how it's very what's the word, like matter of fact. Like, a lot of characters talk like matter of factly, how they're just like they take things like not so seriously, but like it's hard to explain, but you know what I'm saying. Like how just the way that characters talk in his movies, it's really funny.
It is.
And the way that like everything's filmed and stuff like that. And even if it's similar in every single one of his movies, I still like that. I like that I can describe them as Wes Anderson films, and I like how I can still have fun with that. And I feel like this movie, the reason I like that style so much is that you see those in his live action movies, but like this is an animated film, and it's still able to capture that kind of essence to it.
Yeah, no, I absolutely feel the same way about his style. I really love it, and I like this one in particular because like, even though it's animated, like it does have that distinct look, and I think it comes down to like it being stop motion animation, and like all the sets feel so like handmade. It's like his movies are like dioramas where everything's like perfectly arranged, and like with something that's stop motion animated, I mean that's literally like a diorama. Like he can literally like make the set exactly how he wants it to be, and like the character designs can be exactly how he wants them, and it's just like it's so cool. Like him and stop motion animation are like a match made in heaven. And that's just like what I really love about this one. Like I love just the style and how everything looks, and I love just the character designs, just their expressions. Like it's just so impressive technically, and the script as well. Like you said, like the Wes Anderson dialogue and how matter of factly it is. Like it's just so funny. Like the character interactions in this one just kill me.
There are a lot of funny lines in this movie, and it's not like funny haha, it is just like funny, like just humorous. I think is a better word to describe it. It's a very humorous kind of movie. Exactly. It's kind of like dry humor almost. I like the scene I'm just remembering. I like the scene when they're underground and they meet Badger and the Beavers, and the Beaver's son goes up to Ash and Christopherson, and he's just like, "We don't like your dad, so we don't like you." Like, now, like, start eating mud. And he's like, "But I don't want to." And then he just puts mud in his face.
Yeah.
And then Christopherson just like takes off his shoes. He's like, "Why did you take off your shoes?" He's like, "So I don't break your nose when I kick it." And it's just like, it's just the way that.
I know, it's so funny.
Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah, just how matter of fact everyone is. Just, oh my god, their interactions. Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. And then, what's his name? Kylie? There's like his, like Badger friend.
Yeah, the opossum. Yeah, Kylie.
Or the opossum, yeah, sorry, I got mixed up. Every time he's just staring at him with like the swirly eyes, that just fucking slays me. He's just like, I feel like you're never like hearing anything I'm telling you. It's just, I don't know why, every time, I just love that.
And I like how that joke comes back in the end when Kylie asks Fox, he's like, "Are you okay?" After Fox was just chased by the dog with rabies, and he has the swirly eyes, and he does like the Kylie thing where he like salutes him. It's like
it's so good.
It's like, oh, that's taking a joke from earlier and actually expanding upon it. You know, something that Baby Driver didn't do with the tapes. So no,
but it's so clever. I like too, like the mentioning the wolf and how he's like afraid of wolves, and then like at the end he sees the wolf and just has like a regular conversation with it. Like I like that too, because it's calling back to something, but also it's like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong off with my interpretation of it, but I think it's like showing that he's faced so many like dangers that he's not really like afraid of talking to the wolf anymore. Like, I think he mentions in the scene that he still has that phobia, but, like, I don't know, it's like, after he's come so far after all this time, like, he's just fine talking to the wolf. And, like, that scene just, in particular, it's just, I like the vibes of it. Like, it has no relevance to the plot, but it just, like, it has a great, like, feel to it. Like, just from one legend to another, I tip my hat to you. Like that line in Rango, like, when the wolf, like, waves to him.
Yeah, and I do like that scene because, like, I feel like, because it's Fox the whole time is just, like, saying these sentences. He's trying to communicate with the wolf, and the wolf is just not saying anything.
Yeah.
And, like, Fox at the end just, like, raises his fist up, and then the wolf does the same thing. And it's like that's how they communicate. It's like, that's great, because, like, he can talk all he wants. He's not really going to get through to the wolf, but, like, if he just raises his fist, it's like, he gets it. Like, I like that. I like visual stuff like that, how you can just interpret whatever you want with that. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, that was fantastic. Just like Mr. Fox.
Just like Mr. Fox. I think I remember when I first watched this, I was kind of skeptical on, like, the human designs, because I feel like with most animal-centric stuff like this, the human designs aren't always the greatest. Like, you think back to, like, early Pixar, how, like, the toys and the fish and the monsters and all those movies were, like, really good. They're really well-designed characters. And then you get, like, the human characters in the background, and they're just like, oh, okay. Like, they're not that great. But I kind of like the human designs in this movie.
Yeah, I do too.
I think Bogus Bunsen Bean are, like, I like the way that they're animated. I like the way, because it matches their personalities really well, and they're just really, really interesting characters, and they don't get a ton of screen time, but, like, you still get what they're about just from, like, their character design and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're, like, really expressive, and they have a lot of really funny lines and moments here and there. I love the ransom note they send, and it's like, why would they send a ransom note? Like, we know who they are. Like, like, why would they cut the letters out?
Yeah,
why would they ransom note back, and they're like, why would he send a ransom note with letters cut out? And it's like, well, we did the same thing. Like, it's just, there's a ton of really funny moments with them.
Oh, it's...
Yeah. The scene where he, like, freaks out and destroys the room. It's just...
Oh, God. It was animated beautifully. It's like, how long did that take to animate? Because it's stop motion.
Yeah. Oh, I was amazed at some of the, like, effects. Like, the explosion effects. Like, whoa. Like, how did they make those? Like, I really want to watch, like, a behind-the-scenes documentary of how this came together.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, watching it, it's like... It doesn't... like it's not obviously stop motion, but it like feels real. Like this whole world like feels so real. Like this stuff is actually happening. Like it's like I can't picture like these little characters being moved by people in the real world. Like it's so impressive. It just sucks you in.
The effect that really got me was like the waterfall in the sewer.
Oh,
when, like,
yeah.
Fox goes to like contemplate, he's on that bridge, and in the background you just see this like huge waterfall like behind. I'm just like, how did they do that? Like, what is that? Is that like an effect, or did they actually animate water? Like,
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm perplexed.
It's so cool. Yeah, I just love the shot where they're all like in the water, like spinning around and going through like the different tunnels. Like that shot is so cool.
Yeah, I think they repurposed a similar shot like that in that one scene in Isle of Dogs too.
Yeah, my memory's a bit fuzzy on that movie, but yeah, I think I
Mine too.
With that.
Because I mean, yeah, we could probably talk about how Isle of Dogs gets compared a lot to this movie because it's Wes Anderson's other animated film, and
Yeah,
I like Isle of Dogs visually. I've never really been too keen on it story-wise and character-wise.
yeah, I feel the exact same way.
Especially the third act, how like the last act in that auditorium, it's just like everything's coming together, but it feels sloppily done. It's like, what is going on?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that movie never clicked with me outside of the visuals. But yeah, this one on the other hand, though, I'm behind everything. Like the story's great, just the dialogue is so witty, it just looks incredible. Like, just oh my god.
Every actor is casted perfectly.
Yeah.
Like George Clooney as a Sly Fox.
Yeah, he was great.
Meryl Streep as his wife. You got Jason Schwartzman as the son. He's great.
He was so funny. I think it was one of my favorite performances in the movie.
Yeah. Christopherson is voiced by, I forget, I think it's like Eric Chase Anderson. He hasn't been in a lot of stuff. He's mostly been in a bunch of like Wes Anderson stuff.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm on Wikipedia. He's actually Wes Anderson's brother. So
you know what?
That's interesting.
I was thinking there was some sort of connection. It was the Anderson part that really got me.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention because like, so on the DVD that I have for Fantastic Mr. Fox, you know, it lists a bunch of the actors at the top. It makes sense. George Clooney, Meryl Streep, Jason Schwartzman, Bill Murray. Obviously, you'd put those people. It puts Owen Wilson in the top. It lists Owen Wilson like as one of the major players. He's only in one scene as the coach.
Yeah.
Like, I never got that.
I don't know. That is weird.
Well, that's not true. I do get why, because Owen Wilson's a bigger name.
Yeah.
But like I think it's a shame because Christopherson is featured on this box, but his VA isn't. Like I just never got that. I just never really thought that was cool. Like I'm just like,
that is a real shame. Like they always want to promote like the biggest names, I suppose.
And I get it. Like, but you know what? Like, why would you put Owen Wilson and not like Willem Dafoe?
Yeah.
Because like Willem Dafoe plays a much more prominent role than the coach. Sure, he's only in like what 2 scenes, but like
it's more than one.
That's more than one. And and I love Owen Wilson. Ironically, whatever you want to say, but like, I mean, he just does whatever. Whereas Willem Dafoe, even as an animated rat, is fantastic. Like he brings his all.
Oh my god, he was so fucking good. Like at first, I didn't like know if that was him or not. Like even though this was my like second time watching the movie, I was like, is that him? Because it's like a southern accent, and I've never heard Willem Dafoe do that. But it's just he nails it, and it's just such a great sinister voice. Like I love that he could do like a voice that's not exactly like his own. Like as much as I love Willem Dafoe's regular voice, and as much as that would have like worked for this character perfectly, it's like the southern accent is just so great. Like oh my god, I just love this so much.
Misery.
Yeah.
Oh
boy.
I'm trying to think if there's like anything else. I mean, like I've been saying, this DVD that I have of it, it's really kind of crappy the more I look at it. Like it has a bit of like sticker smulch still on it. The bottom of it says rental exclusive, and I'm wondering, was this once like a rental DVD? Because like I'm not seeing a logo for Blockbuster or anything. It's like, what? How did I even buy this? I don't even remember how I bought this fucking thing. It's like it's so strange to me. And also when I was watching it, like I had to skip through like a whole shit ton of trailers just because it was a bunch of trailers from like 2010 movies. I think there was one like it was like a Steve Carell movie called like Date Night or something like that. I don't even remember, but I'm like, why is this being advertised at the beginning of Fantastic Mr. Fox?
Yeah,
like, I don't
really
get it.
Weird. I don't understand.
It's like it's times like these where I'm like, man, this movie deserves so much better. So I don't know. Was there anything else you wanted to say about Fantastic Mr. Fox?
I think I just wanted to say that like I always felt bad that like in 2009 when the Oscars came around, like Up was the animated movie that got a Best Picture nomination, because I just like, I don't know, I like Up, I think it's good, but like this is just like so much better in my opinion. Like this movie,
I agree.
I really wish could have gotten a Best Picture nomination. Like Wes Anderson has prestige as a filmmaker. Like I think it could have been up for Best Picture, but
definitely
Up for Best Picture. Pun.
Up for Best Picture. Yeah. It's one of those things where like it's definitely an early case of we have to nominate the Pixar film, but then I mean, Up is certainly better than a lot of modern Pixar movies that definitely got the nomination when they shouldn't have. But I think you're right. This definitely should have won, whereas Up, I mean, I'm not pissed that Up won, but like
I don't mind either, but like, well, not too much, but like
yeah.
I don't know. Like, well, Pixar wins like every year at the Oscars for Best Animated Feature, so like, I don't know. Would have been nice, but I know it's unrealistic. They're always just gonna vote for Pixar, and you know their opinion doesn't matter because they don't even watch the movies. But
of course, yeah. At the end of the day, like who cares? Like, it didn't win Best Animated Feature. Like, whatever. Like, I think I'll still sleep well tonight knowing that it didn't do that. You know. Because I think it's still an appreciated movie. Like, people love this movie.
Everyone loves it. It is on the Letterboxd top 250, and then Up isn't. So there's that, I guess.
Yeah.
It'll always have that.
You hear that, Oscars? Letterboxd is better than you.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
Not
a
high margin.
Like, pit two good movies against each other like this. I just,
no, of course.
I've always thought this was the best animated movie of 2009 by a landslide. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, I definitely I don't even think this is like my favorite stop motion movie, but it's definitely up there. I think me personally, I'm more of a fan of Wallace and Gromit and Chicken Run just because I grew up with that kind of stuff. So like I'm more inclined to appreciate that stuff more. But
yeah,
I still think Fantastic Mr. Fox is one of the best stop motion animated films ever made, and I think it's one that definitely shows the strengths of that type of medium.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just so impressive, like the way it was animated, and it's like, because when you think stop motion animation, usually like my mind goes to like claymation, because that's what like stuff like Wallace and Gromit and Chicken Run is. But like with this, like I love the way these puppets are designed, and just like it's so impressive that it doesn't feel like stop motion animation at times. Like I said, it just feels real. Mm-hmm. It's just so cool.
Yep. So I guess to round off this discussion, am I keeping this Fantastic Mr. Fox DVD or not? I'm not. Not because I don't like the movie, but just because I don't think I feel like I can own the movie on a better thing than this. Like, I would love like the Criterion release of Fantastic Mr. Fox. Like, that would be freaking awesome. Even just like a nicer Blu-ray would be nicer than this. You know, there are better. I feel like this is a movie I respect it too much for it to just be on some crappy 2010 DVD. So
yeah, it's valid.
It's a definite not keep from me, but it's a definite keep in the collection somehow.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. Okay. I think that about does it for Fantastic Mr. Fox. So let's get into the wrap up. James, plug whatever you want to plug.
All right. So you can find me at Schaffrillas Productions. It's where most of my videos are. But also I stream with Chris and my other friends every Sunday and Monday night on the channel Space Chris 7, so you can find us there. And yeah, I guess it's about. And we have a podcast as well, me, Chris, and the rest of our gang called Shiny Cast. So find that YouTube channel as well, and yeah, follow me on Twitter too. That's about it.
Nice. Yeah, I'll be sure to link all of those at some point. Okay, I'd say that about does it for everything. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, James, for coming on this podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Until next time, I'll see you all next time, whenever that'll be.
Woo.